All right, we are about to do a complete movement method mini practice. Okay, so this practice is all about the hips and freeing up the lower body, the legs, so that you can have a really awesome feeling or dog. Right. So I encourage you try this out, see how you feel. Notice if anything shifts for you from before to after. And then if you want to join us for the complete movement method, you can sign up from the link below. All right, let's start on our hands and our knees. So I'm going to change my camera angle and come to my mat. So we're going to start on the hands and the knees here. And of course, if you want some extra padding underneath your knees, feel free to have something there. I have my blocks here at the front of my mat in case I need them later. And we'll just start by working through some cat and cow. So we're going to tuck the tailbone or pull the pubic bone in, rounding into the lower, into the upper back, releasing the head. And then we'll send the pubic bone through the legs and arch to the lower, mid, upper back, head works last. And we'll just do that a few times. And just noticing the tension in the back of the spine, the back body, the muscles that line your vertebral column. We're trying to distribute the movement as much as possible across as many of our vertebrae as we can. Let's do one more. So their movement is sequential, starting from the base of the vertebral column and working your way up. And opening up one last time, inhaling here through the nose. All right, and then come back into a neutral spine. Here we're going to exhale, tuck the tail, inhale to stay. Exhale to hinge back towards the heels. Inhale to stay. So we're only about halfway back, and you really use your inhalation to stretch out the tissues of the lower back. And then on the exhalation, you lift your tailbone towards the ceiling and you hinge forwards. Exhale to tuck. Inhale to stay. Exhale to hinge back towards your heels. Inhale to stay. And then lifting the tailbone and hinging forwards. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, tuck. Inhale, stay. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, stay, stretching out that lower back. And then lifting the tailbone and hinging forwards. Okay, now check that your hands are a little wider than your shoulders. We're going to turn them in a little bit. Tuck your toes under. Push the floor away. Come into a nice deep cat. Really round your spine. Draw your belly in. And then pressing out into the fingertips, suction cupping the palms of the hands away from the floor. We're going to lift the knees and then lift the hips up and back. Push the hands into the floor and send your chest towards your thighs. Come high up on your toes so your heels are lifted. You're pushing your hands strongly into the floor. And then bend into your left knee and send your right heel towards the floor. Now, if you can, I want you to take your heel a little wider than your toes, almost like you're lengthening the inner heel down more than the outer heel, pausing there and just feeling how much restriction is there in the back of the leg. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. Pausing and breathing there, push the hands into the floor, send the chest towards the thighs. And then one more time, right leg. And one more time, left leg. All right, we're going to lift both the heels up high again. Bend your knees and look towards your hands, and then step your right foot forwards through your hands. Come down onto your left knee. Point your left toes, inhale, and sweep the arms up, coming into a low lunge here. Sending your left hip forwards, draw your belly back. Noticing if there's sensation there at the front of the hip. I'm just going to turn around to near you. You stay where you are. And then we'll hold that left wrist, lift it up, and take it over towards the right. That's it. Finding that length along that whole left side body. Inhale, let's come back up to center. Release the wrist, lift the arms. Inhale there. Exhale, the hands come down to the floor or the blocks on either side of your front foot, and we're going to hinge forwards and back. Now, as you hinge back, probably the toes are going to want to lift off the floor. I want you to resist that. So the toes stay down, the heel stays down. You can see how much my toes want to lift. Yeah, that's indicating to me that there's tension there at the front of the ankle. So when we think about downward dog, we often think about the spine, we think about the legs, but we don't think a lot about what's going on at the ankle. But tension at the ankle is going to work its way up the entire body and impact how our downward dog feels. Now you can use your right hand and pull the skin on the top of the foot forwards as you hinge back. Pull the skin forwards. Pull the skin forwards. So we're stretching the skin over the underlying tendons underneath. That's it. And then we'll come back to center. Now here, you could leave your hands on the blocks on this height or on the floor, or you might take your blocks to a higher height. Really depends on your body and how much tension there is in the backs of your legs. I'm just going to turn around. You're going to stay where you are. I'm just turning around to get the side view. You're going to inch that foot further forwards. Okay, so the ankle is now out in front of the knee, in front of the hip. Knee stays bent here. That's important. You're going to press your heel down into the floor and draw your sitting bone back. Okay, and that action of pressing the heel down, drawing the sitting bone back creates both engagement in the hamstrings and tension in the hamstrings, the back of the leg. And then without letting the pelvis move, we're going to rotate the thigh bone in and out. So it's a rotation of the thigh bone in the hip socket. The pelvis doesn't move. The foot might not touch the floor. That's totally fine. I want you to make this movement precise. Breathing in and out through the nose. Feel the restriction in the back of that right leg. And then we're going to windshield wiper the foot left to right on the mat. Good. And then coming back to center, bring the foot in so the ankle is below the knee. You can take the blocks now. They could stay on the middle height or they could be on the lowest height if you're using them, or hands on the floor. Tuck your back toes under, straighten your back leg. And then we're going to take some bounces into this front knee, like you're creating a spring, this bouncing sensation. And then we're going to use that to step back to downward dog. You can keep your hands on the blocks, lift your heels up high. And then slowly, at the same time, I want you to lengthen both heels towards the floor. Inner heel lengthens down faster than the outer heel, taking the feet into this slight pigeon-toed shape. Breathing there and noticing the difference between the right and the left side, noticing if there is one. And then we're going to take the knees down to the floor. So coming back onto all fours. You take your hands to the floor now if they're still on blocks. We're going to exhale, tuck the tail, inhale, stay. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, stay. And then lift the tailbone and hinge forwards. Exhale, tuck, inhale, stay. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, stay. This time we're going to add on. We're going to exhale, roll up the spine one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up to a high kneeling position, head lift last. Take your hands to the front of your hips. Inhale, hinge with a neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, roll up the back one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, hinge, neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the tail, roll up the back one vertebrae at a time. One more. Inhale, hinge. Exhale, tuck and roll. Notice if there's a difference between how the muscles on the two sides of the spine feel. And then we'll come back onto all fours. Hands a little wider than the shoulders, a little bit turned in. Push the floor away, round the spine, nice deep cat. Tuck the toes under. And then pressing out into the fingertips, suction cup the palms of the hands, lift up and back, downward facing dog. Come high up on the toes, lift the heels high. Push the hands into the floor, send the chest to the side, lengthen that inner heel down. Breathing there. One more full breath. The heels do not need to reach the floor. They're just moving in the direction of the floor. And then we'll again lift the heels high, bend the knees, look to the hands, and step this time the left foot forwards, come down into the right knee, point the right toes, and come up into your low lunge. So send that right hip forwards, draw the belly back. So we're looking for sensation there at the front of the hip. You can hold the right wrist, lift it up, take it over towards the left. You stay there. I'm just going to turn around near you. Blocks. Finding that extension, that expanding across that right side body. And then we'll inhale to come back up, release the wrist, lift the arms. Exhale, take the hand down to the floor or the blocks, and we'll start to hinge forwards and back now. Remember, toes down as you hinge back, heel down as you hinge forwards, toes down, heel down, toes down, heel down. Breathing in and out through the nose. And then you can use your left hand and pull the skin on the top of the foot forwards as you hinge back. Pull the skin forwards. Pull the skin forwards. All right. And then we'll come back to center. Maybe the blocks stay where they are if you're using them, maybe a higher height. I'm just changing around so you get the side view. We're going to inch that foot a little further forwards, flex the ankle, pressing the heel down into the floor, keeping the knee bent, drawing the sitting bone back, so creating tension and engagement at the same time. And then rotating the thigh bone in the hip socket. And out. The foot does not need to reach the floor. What we're doing is asking our hamstring muscles here, 3 hamstring muscles in the back of your thigh, to move past each other. Good. Keep going. And now, windshield wiper, the foot left to right. And then we'll come back to center. Bring the foot in so the ankle is below the knee. Blocks to either the lowest or the middle height if you're using them, or hands on the floor. Tuck the back toes under, straighten out that back leg, and then we take those bounces into that left knee. Bounce, bounce, step back, downward dog. Lift your heels up high. Push your hands into the floor, lengthen the inner heel down. Taking your feet into that slight pigeon-toed shape. Notice how the backs of the legs, the ankles feel, maybe across the spine, how that feels there. And then we'll slowly take the knees back down to the floor, come onto all fours, and put your blocks off to the side if you're using them. And then we're going to again exhale, tuck the tail, inhale, stay. Exhale, hinge back halfway towards the heels, inhale, stay. And then exhale, we're going to roll up the back, one vertebrae at a time, slowly with control, head lifts last. So back up into our high kneel. Keep your hands down by your hips this time. We're going to inhale, hinge with a neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the tail, roll up the back, one vertebrae at a time, sweeping the arms up and over the head. When you get to the top, we'll inhale, lift the breastbone, lengthen it up, bring the arms into a W shape, and exhale to release. Inhale to hinge. Exhale to tuck and roll. Inhaling at the top, lengthen, and exhale. Release. One more. Inhale, hinge. Exhale, tuck and roll. Inhaling at the top, and exhale. Release. All right, one final time. Let's come onto the hands and the knees. Tuck the toes under, come into a nice deep cat. Lift the knees, come high up on the toes, press the hands into the floor, send the chest to the thighs. Lengthen the inner heel down and just take a moment to notice how you feel now after this work in your downward facing dog. Has anything shifted or changed? And then we'll bend the knees, look to the hands, step, walk, or foot boot to sitting. And we'll come and lie right down on the back. You could take your feet wide, let your knees fall in towards each other. Or you could take your blocks under your knees if you'd like. And just take a few breaths here, maybe a few minutes here, and let your body integrate this work. Thank you for joining me in this little mini practice, and I hope to see you in the complete movement method.